What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. El Nino here again today. So I'm going to be doing a different type of video today. It's not going to be a reading. It's going to be more so of a story time video. If you guys don't know, I made a story time video about a love spell that I casted on my ex. I believe it was almost a year ago. I think like 10 months ago. Guys, it is so hot here, by the way, and I'm wearing a jacket. Don't ask me why. Okay, I'm just wearing it for this video. Um, But yeah, so I made a video 10 months ago on a love spell that I did on an ex. That was like a few years ago I did this spell, and how my ex stalked me, and basically he became very obsessed, and I kind of experienced backlash from the spell. So I got a lot of views on that, a lot of comments, people inboxing me to this day, like asking me, Nino, like, how did you do the spell? Like, can you do the spell for me? Where did you get it done? You know, how, like, crazy story, blah, 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 blah. So I got a few people asking me to make a update video on this story, but I also wanted to add incorporate something reasons why to not do love spells. So it's going to be more so an update on my last video, but also like a response on why you shouldn't do love spells. Okay, so I'm going to link also the video to my on the comment section so you guys can see it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. But yeah, so long story short, I dated this guy years ago, and I did a love spell on him. We broke up, and he became very obsessed. I'm not going to go into full detail, but this guy ended up going to jail, and he ended up becoming very obsessed with me and stalking me, and it was just a mess. So anyway, I'll link that down below. You guys could watch it. So the video today I'm going to be talking about is the reasons why you shouldn't do love spells, okay? So one of the main reasons why you got to be very careful with love spells is love spells are very tricky. And I've always said this because I also cast spells, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. When you do a love spell, you got to make sure that you get a reading first, okay? Don't be doing spells, or don't go to a reader or a caster that doesn't do a reading, or even a reader. Make sure that 222 on the recorder. Make sure that you get a reading done first before you do a spell, because you don't know how the outcome is going to be, or if it's even going to work. Okay? Do not get scammed as well, because there's a lot of people that go to get love work and the person's not even legit. Like the reader, the magician, the practitioner, the witch, they're not even really legit with their crap. So be very careful. Be mindful also to, if you're doing a love spell, don't do it yourself unless you know what you're doing, but get it professionally done if you do decide to do it. But make sure to get a reading first, because you don't know if that person is protected, or that person's spirit team, their ancestors. You don't know how, there's so many intricate parts to doing spells, which I have to talk about a video on that later. But that's the main reason why you shouldn't do a love spell, okay? The second reason why you shouldn't do a love spell is because you think about it. Think about it. For example, you want this person to be obsessed with you, right? What happens when they become obsessed with you when you do a spell? That ex you want back, or that person you want to become infatuated with you, they're going to come to the point where they're going to keep really, like, they won't stop. They're going to keep on obsessing over you, and then it's going to become to the point where you can't leave your house, you can't go with your friends, you can't even go anywhere, because the person is going to be very paranoid. That goes into the first question on why you shouldn't do a love spell, because you got to make sure you do a reading first to see, is it worth investing in? Does this person love you? If the person does not love you, it will not work. And if it does manifest, it's not going to be the way you want it to, because it's not authentic, it's not natural. You can't fake love. Love has to already be there. Love has to already, it's almost like the ingredients already have to be there, right? For it to form, for it to grow. The seeds have to be there. If the seeds are not planted for that person, for you, it's very tricky to do love work, okay? The second reason, like I said, it could backfire, which I feel 98% of love spells backfire, because a lot of times people do it on people that really are not supposed to be in their life for their long-term path, okay? Which I'm going to talk about that in a second too, with your life path and your destiny and your fate. The third reason why you shouldn't do a love spell, again, this ties into the second question, is you don't know that person's path, their destiny, and you don't know their ancestors. And in the spiritual realm, you don't know how spirit is going to feel, or the ancestors or the angels or whoever you work with, how they're going to handle that situation. You can manifest something, but that doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the way you want it, right? It could be exactly the way you want it, or it could be even less or more. A lot of times I feel like it's never going to be exactly the way you want it, because you're not source, you're not the divine. Okay. Another reason why this is going back to what I was saying, your life path. When you're manipulating somebody's free will, you're manipulating someone that could have just been in your life for a season, and that person wasn't supposed to be in your life anymore. And when you're doing love workings, you're basically bringing this person back to you, but now this person's diverted from their path, and now you're diverted from your path as well. And you could have been blocking a new person coming in that was meant for you, but now you're stuck with this person. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful when you're doing love spells and love workings. And again, the karmic effect, because I'm going to briefly talk about my experience, okay? So again, if you guys, make sure you watch that video after this video if you're new to my channel. Um, it's a crazy video. It's about 48 minutes long, but I tell you, it's worth it. Guys, watch it. But I did a spell on my ex. Was it 2-3 years ago? And my ex basically was in a relationship with somebody else. We had broken up. And when I found out, I was devastated. You know, I was looking at different ways to bring my ex back. And which was wrong, because my ex obviously wasn't supposed to be in my life anymore, but I wanted my ex back. You know how that is. So I brought my ex back. I did the spell, and basically what the spell did, how it manifested, was because my ex was dealing with someone else at the time, and when I casted the spell, he was already with someone else. So I was manifesting my ex to come back and talk to me. I didn't really want a relationship. That may sound kind of dumb, but I'm being honest. Like, I just wanted my ex for us to talk again and communicate again. How this love spell worked is, when I casted the spell, the night I did it on a new moon. And I was working at it for 4 hours. I was doing a big ritual. I was you know, chanting. I was really putting a lot of energy into the spell. Not even 6-7 hours later, at 7 in the morning, I get a text from my ex saying, "Hey, where are you at? I need to talk to you." I was dumbfounded, because I didn't know that it would manifest that fast. But let me tell you the reason what happened for my ex to contact me. He got into a big fight with his ex, and he beat his ex. So yeah, as I was saying, how it manifested was, when I did the spell, I did a big ritual, and I manifested my ex to communicate with me again. My ex texted me again, like I said, the next day, the next few hours. It was 7 in the morning, and he texted me. He's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He called me and he told me that he got in a big fight with his ex, and they got into a big physical altercation, and the relationship pretty much ended permanently. And what happened was that my ex, long story short, again, I will link the video down below because it's going to be too long for me to explain it. My ex and me started talking again, and my ex actually, what happened was the spell caused a big fight for them, and then my ex ended up catching a charge because of that physical assault that he did to his ex, because of the spell that I did. Now, people can say, "Oh, well, my ex was violent. My ex, like, he was, he wasn't the right person for me, and I didn't love myself at the time, so I shouldn't even have done that." But I did it. Lesson learned, experience. So, long story short, he caught a charge because of the spell that I did. Of course, he never knew that, you know. And then my ex became, after that, like I said, after the fight, their relationship was completely over. His ex, the person he was with, reported him to the police, and he caught a case, but he was still out here, and he started talking to me again, and he became very obsessed with me. He wouldn't want to leave me alone. And at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I still had emotions for this person, but I didn't want to be in a relationship with them anymore, especially after they assaulted their ex, because I'm like, dude, you're going to go to jail. So my ex became very obsessed with me, okay? I remember I was with one of my friends one time after the spell was casted, and I was just with one of my girlfriends at her house, and we were like, me and him were friends. We were not dating. I was like, hey, no, let's just be friends. Like, I don't, because I already knew what was gonna happen to him, and he got very jealous that I was with one of my friends, my girlfriends. He was like, oh, who are you with? What guy are you with? I'm like, I'm with my girlfriend. He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, why are you ignoring me? Talk to me. He never was like that when we were together. Yeah, he was kind of obsessive. He's a Capricorn. He was very like, but he wasn't that paranoid and that irrational because of the spell that I did. And he started becoming very obsessive in the friendship that we had after this did the spell. He was like literally stalking me. He was coming to my house. He came to my house 3 times. Um, he was making fake pages. I kept blocking him because we got into an altercation, and I was like, you know what? I need to stop talking to him. But I didn't break the spell though. The spell was in my closet because I had it. It was like in a little jar, like a little jar, and it had like the all that stuff in it. And my ex became very, like I said, he became very, very, very obsessive, and he finally got to the point where one day he disappeared out of nowhere, and I knew he had gone to jail. And he was in jail for a few months, and then he got out because he not because of probation, because someone bailed him out. And he literally, I'll never forget, I got chills with this because I literally didn't break the spell yet. The spell was still in the jar, and I thought this was over. Don't ask me why I didn't break it. I just didn't. Okay. But the thing what happened was that my ex, when when he got out of jail, he called me from a different number, and I answered the phone, and he was like, hey, and I got chills, and I hung up. And then he kept calling me, and I blocked the number. Then he called me off a different number. This is the same day he got out of jail. Then he came to my house 2 days later. He showed up at 5 in the morning at my house, wanting to talk to me. And I wanted nothing to do with this person anymore. I was done. So I actually ended up finally breaking the spell, and then he actually went back to jail because he was fighting it, but they took him back, and he has been there ever since. So that's a brief story, guys. I really recommend you guys watch the video. It's 48 minutes, but let me tell you, it's worth it. If you're new to my channel, those of you that have watched it, you guys love it. I mean, it's kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie. It's crazy. It's kind of funny because it's like, what the hell? But be very careful when you're doing love workings, because that's just my story. That's not, they're not saying it could go that extreme. It could, or it could even get worse. So when you're doing a love spell, if that person's not meant to be in your life anymore, guys, let them go. There could be a new person trying to come in, like a soulmate connection, somebody who's meant to be in your life. But now you're blocking that, and now because you want this person to come back, not only are you manipulating the will of that person and you're altering their path, you're also altering your own path, because now you're bringing this person back, and there's like a lot of karmic energy, which I'm going to talk about in a second too, because I got a lot of karma. For a few years I was paying off karmic debt when it came to my love life after the spell was casted, because I didn't realize it. Even though I broke it, even though I cleansed myself, there was still karmic that I had to pay. Because the spell I did, it really, 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 really worked. Not only did it work, it created a mess. It created a very catastrophic event. And it's crazy, it's wild, guys. Like I said, people still to this day think they're like, it's a crazy story. I cannot make this up. I mean, you guys can see my video. I would never lie. But you got to be very careful when you're doing spell work, because you don't know how it's going to work. You don't know the outcome. And if that person is a narcissist, that person's abusive, or they're not available, that's not going to change that part of them. All you're doing is bringing them back to you, but they're still going to come back the same way unless they've done the healing and they've changed. So that's why it's so important to get a reading done first. There's spellcasters that don't do readings, that will do a spell for you without even, actually looking into the person, which that's dangerous. Don't do that, guys. Please save your money. If you do a spell, please get a reading first. Go to someone professional. Um, they'll usually tell you yes or no, is it okay to do it? But make sure that this is really what you want to do, right? Because once a spell is casted, you don't know how it's going to manifest in the ethers, in the spiritual realm. You don't know how spirit, the ancestors, the divine, your spirit team, how they're going to react or how it's going to manifest in the physical, right? From the spiritual realm to this realm. You don't know the effects. Magic has a price, guys. Everything is a balance to a duality. There's a price for everything. And if you are okay with that and you already know and you're like, yeah, Nino, I already know, I don't care, I already know, I just want this person back, okay, that's fine. But just be mindful. Really think about it before you do it, okay? There's nothing wrong with doing spells to attract new love, or spells if you have already a strong connection with somebody and you just want to make it stronger, and and you guys talk or you with their consent, that's great. If not, make sure that the love is already there and there's a mutual understanding, then it's okay. But don't be manipulating people, guys. I didn't care. I was somebody, even like when I was doing spell workings for clients at that time too, I was doing spells and I wasn't even really, I was like, okay, we're gonna do it, all right, let's do this, let's do the domination work, let's do this. I wasn't really thinking the karmic effect it was going to have on not only my clients but also myself. So now I'm going to get into the spell work, okay? Because guys, you don't know, I do cast spells. I do love spells. I do money, protection, healing spells. But I wanted to say this. There's a lot of times people think I just do love spells. I don't really do that much love spells anymore, guys. I'm very picky with love work. I will only do it if I feel that there's attraction, that this person really does care about you, and that there's potential, which we do a reading first. I'll ask, is it okay for their guides? I'll ask, is it okay for my guides? You have to, there's steps to this. There's steps to this, levels. You can't just be doing stuff to do it. That's what people have to understand. And it's very rare. I've turned down a lot of people, guys, that have gotten mad at me because I did a reading and I'm like, no, this person, they don't love you, or this is not going to work because this person is not the right person for you. And they get mad at me. They get upset with me, but I'm like, I'd rather be honest, I'd rather be truthful than tell a lie. Because I would rather help them, because they can be that same prevention of me saying no can bring in that right person for you from spirit, the divine, you know, or you can do a love spell to attract a new person who's good for you and not somebody that's not good for you. So, yeah, guys, that is the reasons why you shouldn't do love workings. Like I said, I'm very picky with love spells. I'd have to look really into it, and if I feel, and my guides and the universe feels it's okay, then we can do it. Otherwise, I'm very picky with that. Now, protection work, other workings, no problem. But love spells, you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful because you don't know, again, how it's going to manifest, how it's going to affect your life in the long run. Because, everything's a season, and that person that you do it on, you may not even want that person in the future. You may fall out of love with that person, but now this person's obsessed with you, and now you can't get them out of your house. Or you can't get them out of your life now because now they're stalking you, they're abusing you, or they get physical with you, which happened in my story, my story time that I made 10 months ago. So yeah, guys, be very careful when you're doing love spells. Please, 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 I can't stress this enough. Be wise, okay? If you're doing love work, like I said, go to somebody who knows it, but make sure that the person you're doing it on actually really loves you. And I also look at this too. If that person really loves you, do you really have to do a spell on them? You know? So yeah, guys, that is my story on my, reasons why you shouldn't do love spell video. Yeah, guys, just be careful and just be smart, guys, okay? So yeah, guys, that is my story. Thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.